Welcome back, Budget Gamer fans. Today we're going to be taking a look at a really fun game called Lichtspeer. The general dynamic of Lichtspeer is more like a classic arcade style platforming shooter, with the main focus being on trajectory and timing. The overall premise of the game is that the ancient gods have awoken and they're bored, so they want a champion whose strife and struggles can entertain them. As you can't really argue with the ancient gods, you are now their champion and you have been subjected to more than 10 levels of ever-increasing difficulty spear-hurling mayhem. Throughout the actual gameplay for Lichtspeer, there are multiple levels crossing multiple worlds, each world having its own sort of theme, and though the enemy complement of the game isn't very broad, it is very diverse. Enemies range anywhere from skateboard-riding walruses to flying dogs to zombies and cybernetic cyclops giants. Though the enemy complement doesn't really change all too much, their costumes and visual appeal definitely does. As the game progresses, their hitboxes and damage areas will change as well. In initial gameplay, hitting any enemy just about anywhere is enough to do damage, but as you move on, enemies will pick up things like shields or don armor, making it to where they can only be susceptible to headshots. So like any good platformer, not only do you have to memorize the enemy patterns and level design, but actually improve your personal level of skill. Thankfully though, the game Lichtspeer does actually accommodate players who may not be up to the steep learning curve, and provides them with an in-game shop where they can purchase items or abilities to increase their main character's performance. While the standard spear hurling control is mapped to the A action button, the other three potential types of abilities are mapped to the other three buttons. X for defense, Y for a linear ranged attack, and B to split your spear into multiple spears to more easily take out enemies with higher maneuverability or much smaller hitboxes. In addition to enemies' strike zones becoming smaller and smaller as you progress through the game, their pace and numbers will increase dramatically as well, meaning that the extra few seconds a shield might supply you or the added line clear damage of a ranged attack may be exactly what you need to give yourself a few seconds to clear your head and focus on your next target. But the fun definitely doesn't stop there. At the end of each world, after every 2 or 3 levels or so of increasing difficulty, there is a world boss to face. These world or area bosses will force you to hone your skills in ways that will allow you to actually move through the rest of the game, as the world bosses then have a miniaturized version that becomes a new part of the enemy portfolio. Overall, with its simple controls, its quirky graphics, and its decent soundtrack, Lichtspeer is a game that's enjoyable for anyone who's into casual games in general. But if you are a fan of those classic arcade games or shooting-based platformers, Lichtspeer is definitely something you want to at least consider for your gaming collection. The game starts off really gradually with a very easy to handle pace and difficulty level, but as you move through, those increase to such an extent that a single bout of gameplay can leave you feeling just exhausted. But due to its multi-phase level structure, even though it is a one-touch death mechanic, there's really not too big of a penalty if you die. So even though a single portion of a certain level can leave you feeling completely exhausted, you're only set back far enough upon a death to make you absolutely certain you can do it on the next try. And it's because of that exact feeling as a gamer I have definitely dumped hours into this game. But the more you play, the more intuitive the spear trajectories become, and the more gratifying those end-of-level bonuses and achievements actually become. Like I said before, Lichtspeer really has nothing to complain about, and if you are a fan of platformers, arcade-style games, or just quirky indies, this is probably something you want to consider. Well, that about wraps up the review of Lichtspeer for the Nintendo Switch. So if you enjoyed the review or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. I put these videos out as often as I can, and your support on Patreon definitely does help with that. If you're interested in becoming a supporter, check out the Patreon page because there are some pretty cool benefits. Anyway, this has been Budget Gamers. As always, thanks for watching.